Look at the last 4 months of your year: September, October, November, December. Now here is the strange part. Those names are just Latin numbers. Sept means 7, Octo means 8, Novem means 9, Decem means 10. So September should be the 7th month. It is the 9th. October means 8, but it is the 10th. Every single one is off by exactly 2. You have been reading a broken countdown your whole life and never noticed. This is not a typo. It is a 2,000-year-old scar, frozen into the calendar on your wall, your phone, your laptop. And once you see who put it there, you will never look at a date the same way again. So here is the question almost nobody asks. Why is our calendar like this? Why 12 months? Why does February get cheated out of days? Why is the shortest month the one we bolt a leap day onto? None of it is logical. None of it is clean. And all of it traces back to one messy, patched up, politically hijacked system from ancient Rome. The calendar you live by is not a science project. It is a 2,000-year-old argument that nobody ever finished, and you already know who to blame. Let's start with the obvious because it breaks your brain first. The oldest Roman calendar did not have 12 months. It had 10, and the year did not start in January. It started in March. That is the whole secret hiding in those weird month names. Back then, March was month 1, count forward. September lands on 7, October on 8, November on 9, December on 10. The names were perfectly correct. The names never changed, the calendar underneath them did. And that early calendar was rough, 10 months, roughly 304 days, and then just winter. A dead gap of about 60 days that nobody bothered to name because not much farming happened, so who cared? Imagine that, 2 months of the year that were simply off the books. The Romans looked at deep winter and basically said, we will deal with that later. Later arrived with the next king, Numa. He looked at that unnamed winter void and added to new months to cover it, January and February. Now the year had 12 months and about 355 days, built to roughly follow the moon. And here is a detail that pays off in a minute. These 2 new months got tacked on at the end of the year, after December. February was the last month, the runt, the afterthought stitched onto the back, which is exactly why, to this day, February is the short one. It was the dumping ground. When the numbers did not add up, and they never did, February is where they shaved off the extra days. 2,000 years later, your shortest month is short because it was the last one invented and the first one robbed. Every February you feel like the month ends too soon, blame it on Rome. And here is a small one that hides in plain sight. The word calendar itself is Roman. The Romans called the first day of each month the calends. And the calends was the day your debts came due. Moneylenders kept a little book tracking who owed what by the calends, and they called it a calendarium. A debt ledger, that is the direct ancestor of the word you use for the thing that organizes your entire life. The calendar was, at its root, the day the bill was due. Somehow that feels right. But now we get to the actual disaster, because a 3-100-50-5 day year has a problem. The real solar year, the time it takes Earth to go around the sun, is about 365.25 days. So the Roman year was short by around 10 days every single year. Left alone, it would drift. The months would slide away from the seasons until you were celebrating harvest into spring. The Roman fix was clumsy. Every couple of years, they would jam an extra patch month into the calendar, squeezed in around February, to shove things back in line. And who decided when to add it? Not astronomers, priests, a group of officials called the pontifices. And that is where it goes completely off the rails, because those priests were also politicians. And they figured out that if you control the length of the year, you control a lot. Want to keep a friendly official in power a little longer, add days to the year. Want to cut a rival's term short, leave them off. Want to delay an election or push back the day a debt is due, just adjust the calendar. The length of the year became a political weapon. The date was for sale. So by the time we reach the 1st century before the Common Era, the Roman calendar is a wreck. The priests have been adding and skipping patch months so carelessly and so selfishly that the calendar has drifted months away from the sun. The official date and the actual season have completely divorced. Festivals meant for summer are landing in autumn. The calendar has stopped telling the truth about the sky. Let that sink in. An entire civilization no longer agreed on what day it was. Enter the man whose name is still stamped on your summer, Julius Caesar. Around the year 46 before the Common Era, Caesar had enough of the mess. He brought in an expert from Alexandria, an astronomer named Sosigenes, and told him to fix the thing for good. And Sosigenes made one brilliant, decisive call: stop chasing the moon, follow the sun. The new plan was clean, a year of 365 days. And to deal with that annoying leftover quarter day, one extra day added every 4 years. A leap year, that is it. That is the system you still run on. 12 months, 365 days, a leap day every 4 years. It came from this one reform 2,000 years ago. But before the new calendar could start, Caesar had to fix the damage already done. The calendar was so far out of line with the seasons that he had to force it back into place. So the year 46 before the Common Era was stretched to an absolutely absurd length. To resync the date with the sun, that single year was given for 145 days. The longest year in recorded history. They literally called it the Year of Confusion. Imagine being told this year has an extra 80 days in it by decree just to fix a spreadsheet error the priests made. That happened, blame it on Rome. Now, about those names on your summer, Caesar's reform was such a big deal that after his death, the Romans renamed a month in his honor. The old month Quintilis, which just meant 5th, became Julius, July, named after Julius Caesar, and it is still on your phone right now. And then his successor wanted in. The first emperor, Augustus, took the next month, Sextilis, meaning 6th, and renamed it after himself, Augustus, August. So have your summer is just to Roman rulers carving their names into the year and never letting go. 20 centuries later, you still say their names every time you book a summer holiday. You are quoting dead emperors and you do not even know it. Now, hold on. Some of you have heard a famous story about this, and it is time to deal with it. The story goes like this. Augustus was jealous that Julius Caesar's month, July, had 31 days, while his month, August, only had 30. So the story says, Augustus stole a day from poor February and stuck it onto August to make himself equal to Caesar. And that, people claim, is why February is short and August is long. It is a great story. It is almost certainly not true. Historians who have dug into it find no real evidence for the day-stealing tale. It seems to be a myth invented over 1,000 years later. February was already the short one, remember, because it was the last month added and the traditional place to trim days, long before Augustus was ever born. So no, Augustus probably did not mug February in a fit of ego. The real reason is older and duller. February was just always the runt. Fair question, though. It is exactly the kind of pettiness the Romans were capable of, which is why the myth sticks so well. And here is the part that should genuinely bother you, because Caesar did not actually get it perfect. Remember that leftover quarter day. The real number is not a clean quarter. The solar year is about 11 minutes shorter than 365 and a quarter days. 11 minutes, that sounds like nothing, but 11 minutes a year, across centuries, adds up. By the 1500s, Caesar's calendar had quietly drifted about 10 full days off from the sun again. The same slow disease, just slower, so a second Roman authority stepped in to patch the patch. This time it was the head of the church in Rome, Pope Gregory XIII. In 1582, he made to fix his first. He refined the leap year rule so that most century years, like 1900, skip the leap day to shave off the excess. That is the calendar we use today, the Gregorian. And second, to undo the drift that had already built up, he simply deleted 10 days from the calendar by order. In the countries that adopted it, people went to sleep on the 4th of October and woke up on the 15th. 10 days, gone, never happened. If you had a birthday in that gap that year, tough. And it caused chaos because different countries switched at different times. For over a century, if you crossed certain borders, you also crossed 10 days. Two neighboring towns could genuinely disagree about the date, all because of a rounding error in a Roman calculation from 2,000 years ago. But here is the warm part. Step back and look at what you are actually holding when you look at a date. It is not a clean, logical invention. It is a patchwork. A 10-month farmer's calendar extended by a king, hijacked by priests, rescued by a general, signed by emperors, and fine-tuned by a pope. Every weird thing about it, the numbered months that do not match, the stubby February, the leap day, is a fossil of a real human decision made by someone trying to pin the messy sky onto a neat little grid. And the astonishing thing is that it works. This absurd, argued over, 2,000-year-old compromise is now the single system almost the entire planet agrees on. Every flight, every deadline, every birthday, every contract, running on a framework the Romans hacked together and never quite finished. We did not fix it, we just kept using it. So look at your calendar again, September, the 7th month, sitting in 9th place because Rome once started the year in March. February, short and sad, because it was the last month invented and the first one robbed. July and August, two emperors who never left. A leap day patching a quarter-day error. And a 10-day hole in history because the fix itself needed fixing. You did not design any of this. You inherited it, bugs and all, from a civilization that could not agree on what day it was, so it argued about time for centuries and then handed you the result. The next time your calendar makes absolutely no sense, you know exactly who to blame. Blame it on Rome.